One of the things I love about the One Rental at a Time school community is we get to bring on amazing folks. I first heard Henry Washington about 3 years ago when he was gracious enough to come out to an event in Fresno, California. Been following him every day, every week since then. He's a co-host over at Bigger Pockets and recently has become a published author. My man, Real Estate Dealmaker is a great book. Nicely done, sir. How are you?
Excuse me. Yes, thank you
Bless
very
you.
much, man. I appreciate it, man. That is a crazy, crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, Henry Washington, published author.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that was not on your bucket list a decade ago.
No, no, I don't know that it was on my bucket list like 3 years ago.
Well, why don't we start there? I think Real Estate Dealmaker is going to change people's lives because it is your story. You've always been authentic. You've done it your way. Why don't we just tease the book? What's in it? Why should people go get it?
Yeah, man. The book is my attempt at trying to teach people how to solve the two problems that every real estate investor faces at one or many points in their career. Like if you ask 10 investors, what are they struggling with? Half of them are going to tell you they can't find deals to buy at a discount, and the other half will say, I don't have money to buy deals.
Mhm,
So, at some point, we all face this problem or these problems or multiple times in our career. And so
mhm,
I wanted to show people that if you solve these two problems, then you can essentially grow and scale your real estate business at whatever pace you feel like growing it. I'm not saying you got to have hundreds of doors. If
no.
you want to have 5 doors, that's great. You're still going to have to learn how to find good deals and how to buy them, right? And so this is people's main barrier to growing and scaling their business. But it's not just about teaching them how to solve these problems. You said I've done it my way. My way is less about me and more about the people who are at the other end of our wealth building transactions, right? So if we want to build wealth, we have to buy property. But typically, if you're in residential real estate, you're buying someone's home, right? Sometimes this is the only wealth they've ever accumulated. Sometimes it's the only asset that they have. And they're selling it to you at a discount, not because they want to. No one woke up in the morning and said, you know what, I'm going to sell my asset for, $50,000 less than what it's worth. They're selling it to you probably because there's some level of pain that they're
Mhm,
trying to solve. And it's our job to help them solve that pain. And I'm not saying that buying houses is a problem. What I'm
mhm,
saying is we can't forget that there's someone else. There's a person at the other end of our real estate transaction. And if we can figure out ways to service people, be of service to people, help these people out of these difficult situations, sometimes that means we'll buy their house. Sometimes it means we won't. And even
mhm,
if we don't buy their house, I still think we should try to help them. Like if I walk into a house and realize I can help you and not buy your house, I feel obligated to do that, even if you're willing to sell me your house. And so I want to teach people what's the right way to do this in a way that you don't have to feel like a sleazy slime ball, in a way that you're going to be of service to people, in a way that you're going to remember that there's people tied to the
mhm.
transaction that you're using to build your wealth. And I think if there's more investors that are people focused, then there's communities that will thrive. Then investors will stop being looked at as, snakes in the grass.
No, I love all of that. Folks, remember this is our school community, so you can either A, put your questions in the comments, which I will read top to bottom. So the as soon as you put the comments in, the better chances of getting a question. Or B, if you are a brave soul and would like to raise your hand, I will call on you the order that I see them. So again, folks, the school community is about you interacting with amazing folks like Henry Washington here. So Henry, why don't we just break this down a little bit more detail, like give people a chance to put in some questions and or raise their hand. And why don't we talk about can't find deals? Because like you, I hear
Yeah.
this all the time. I frankly hear it more today than I've heard in the last 20 years, and it's probably true. As we talked about, I built my career out of the MLS. I
Mhm.
was traveling the world, don't have mailers, don't have a VA, none of this stuff. I built it with focus, daily discipline, and just the MLS. So why don't you talk about finding deals? How can we kind of tease that out?
Yeah. When people say, I can't find deals or there aren't any deals out there, what I actually hear is, I can't find deals through the easy channels, the easy
Mm,
way, right? I can't just hop on the MLS and find a deal anymore, right? I can't just call an agent and have them send me a deal anymore. I can't just hop on Realtor or Zillow and filter and find a deal. No, you can't. That's true, right? But there are plenty of deals to be had. And so finding deals is, look, folks, if you're looking for some new, exciting, fancy smancy way to go out and find these deals in this tough market, I've got bad news for you. There's not, right? There's the same old ways. If you grab my book, you're not going to see some new fancy smancy way I'm finding deals. Everything that I teach in that book are things you've probably heard about before. But what we teach in the book is that it doesn't matter how you want to find deals. It matters that you apply it with relentless consistency until it works. What's amazing about finding deals, sorry, let me put my phone on do not disturb.
Hmm.
What's
Sorry, we didn't hear it.
amazing, what's amazing about finding deals, what's amazing about real estate investing is that it is proven it works. Can you record me? Is that it is proven it works, right? We don't have to guess if sending direct mail works. There is data to prove that it works, decades and decades and decades of data. It worked before I started investing, it'll work after I stop investing. We don't have to guess if door knocking and networking and text messaging and all of these strategies, you don't have to guess if MLS offers works. They all work. What we struggle with and what people say when they say I can't find deals is I don't know which one of these strategies I should focus on, and I don't know if I have what it takes to sustain it until it works. And so, what you're going to learn about and what we teach you in the book is you've got to pick a strategy that A, fits the budget that you have. Finding
Yes.
deals costs something. It's either going to cost you money or it's going to cost you time, and you have to take an inventory. You have to do a budget. How much money and or time do I have to allocate towards deal finding each and every week? And then all you have to do is do some research. Okay, I know I have X amount of dollars or I have X amount of time. Which one of these strategies does my allocated resource do I have enough of to sustain one of these strategies until it works? And then you pick the strategy that A, your budget can afford to fund, and B, fits who you are, your personality. If your budget can afford to fund you door knocking, but door knocking doesn't, like, that's not who you are, don't pick it. I'm
Yeah,
not a door knocker. I'm not going to knock on
exactly.
anybody's door. Like, I hate it. I hate everything about it. I don't want to learn it. I don't want to get good at it. I'm not going to Andrew Tate it and just suck it up and do it because that's what
Mm,
I need to. No, I hate it. I'm not going to do it.
mm,
Right. So I have to pick a strategy that I can afford to fund and that fits who I am. So that if it fits who I am and I can afford to fund it, then I can stick it on autopilot and just let it do
right.
its thing until it produces the results. And so we teach you how to do those things. It's strategically doing the right method for you until it works.
I love everything about that, and that's why the book it is already a bestseller. It's because it just puts it out there matter of factly, and I love the fact that you also acknowledge that some things aren't right for you. Right? You hate door knocking; it's not going to work for you. I think there's a lot of people out there that are good at one thing. Maybe it's cold calling or texting, and they treat it like it's the only way to go.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't fit who you are. Cold calling sucks. The hardest job I ever had was making 100 dials a day,
Yeah.
when I first became an inside salesperson. Never doing that again. You could not pay me enough to cold call people. No, thank you. So yeah, it got to fit you. And then, yeah, the budget thing, right?
Yeah.
Some of these things cost money and you need to think about them. And then finally, the whole magic of anything successful I've ever done is it's focus and consistency. I mean, whether you're Alex Hormozy or Cody Sanchez or all these other amazing folks, it just boils down to having relentless focus
Mm-hmm.
and moving forward. So I love all of that. All right. So we talked about can't find deals as an excuse. How about, dude, you don't understand, Henry. I've got no money. What about
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah. Look, it the way we approach financing or teaching financing is the way I think everyone should approach financing. What the goal of the financing section of the book is to help you become a fundamentally sound real estate investor. It's to help you understand what are all of the ways that I could fund a real estate deal, not just one or two ways. I think what's happening a lot right now is people are going out and they're learning one or two ways to finance deals. They've got their like sub two hammer in one
Yeah.
hand, and they've got their owner finance hammer in the other hand,
Yeah.
and they're just every lead they get, they're just trying to hammer that lead with one of those two types of financing because that's what they understand. Or maybe they know how to do conventional loans and DSCR. And so every
Right.
loan they're trying to do a DSCR or a conventional loan. But if you don't have a 20% down payment, a DSCR or a conventional loan ain't the best fit for you because you're going to need a 20% down payment. And that 20% down payment got to be your money. You can't borrow it. Like you
Hmm.
got to, like they'll have to call the president to see if they can allow you to use somebody else. Like it's hard
Yes,
if it's not
hard.
your money. If
Yeah.
it's not, it's got to be in your account for a certain period of time. Those are tough loans, right? And so the goal is you do need to know what a DSCR loan is, and you do need to know what a conventional loan is, and you do need to know how to do owner financing, and you do need to understand some avenues of creative financing, and you need to understand what situations they work in and what situations they don't work in. An owner finance deal is amazing. You can get a low interest rate. It's fantastic until you buy a house that needs $100,000 renovation. The
Yeah.
owner's not going to give you he's not going to finance 100 grand on the side for you to renovate that property. Now you got to go get unsecured $100,000 from somewhere and apply that to your property so you can renovate it. Like it doesn't fit every situation. Every deal is different. Every seller is different. Their needs are different. So sellers end up getting frustrated with investors because we come in and say, "Hey, I'll be an investor. I'll buy your property at a discount. I can buy it all cash." And then all of a sudden, the seller finds out you're financing with a DSCR loan, and there's a million questions, and it's going to take 45 days, and you got to get all these inspections and appraisals, and they're like, "What's going on?" Right? So you need to understand with the deal that I have and the financial situation that I have, what financing fits the deal and fits my financial situation, and then use that financing. I could buy two properties right next door to each other that two different sellers own it, and I could finance them two different ways depending on what those sellers need.
Yeah. I love all of that. I've been doing this for 25 years, folks, and you have to realize that I call it seasons, right? There are seasons of investing where a particular vehicle is kind of in the sun. Like today, sub two, right? It's in the sun. 5 years ago, sure, it still worked, but it's very unique. Sub two will have its day where it's no longer in the sun. So you've really got to gear up. Don't just have one hammer. Appreciate that there are lots of ways. And really, when you break down financing, there's the equity piece, there's the debt piece, and it's really those components that you have to understand and play with. And you're right, seller financing are amazing until you need that extra 100 grand. Where are you going to go get that from? So that's fun. Henry, again, folks, remember you can ask questions, put it in the comments, raise your hand. I'm going to ask Henry to remind folks, just in case people don't know who you are, Henry, go back, kind of talk about early days. Who is Henry starting this journey? What was going on there?
Oh goodness, man. I started in real estate in 2017. I bought my first rental property in 2017. Prior to that, I was working for Walmart corporate. I was designing software and doing data analytics, and needed a way to make some extra money to afford my new lifestyle, which was being married. And started looking for solutions to help me make more money. And to make a really really long story short, I've found real estate through my late night Google searches, and determined that um, you know, all of the things that I wanted, like all the buzzwords that I was hearing that I wanted a part of my life, like financial freedom, like cash flow, like passive income, like appreciation, the common denominator among those words was real estate. And so when I started to research like how to become a real estate investor, I found something I didn't expect to find, which was tons and tons of regular folks.
Mhm.
Your coworkers and neighbors owned real estate. I didn't realize that when I first started researching it. I just assumed it was rich people and corporations, right? I just never had to look into it. I just and so I just decided if regular people can do it, I'm regular, I can do it, right? I'll figure it out. And so I made a decision without any of the knowledge, resources, or anything that you would think you would need to make that decision. I just made the decision anyway that I was going to figure out how to be a successful real estate investor. Um, and that's the path that I went down. So between when I discovered real estate at 3 in the morning and when
Mhm.
I bought my first property was about 90 days. And
Wow.
there was I don't know, man, there was just a lot that happened with that first deal that kind of educated me on what real estate was and how it actually worked. And my, oh gosh, I don't know what you call it. Like, it, it's, I don't know, what I didn't know, I think saved me, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of the times we know a little bit about certain situation. We know enough. They call it knowing enough to be dangerous, right?
Right.
We know enough to be dangerous to ourselves. We know enough to overthink ourselves out of our own wealth, right? Like, I didn't know anything about real estate investing. And so I just didn't let my lack of knowing stop me. So I didn't know how to buy a property. I didn't let that stop me from telling people I was a real estate investor. I didn't know how to buy a property. I didn't let that stop me from putting my first house under contract. I didn't know how to find the money for my first deal. I didn't let that stop me from telling the person I wanted to buy their house that I was going to buy their house, right? Like I just figured I would go figure it out until somebody who could actually stop me other than me would stop me. And I think we as people, we stop ourselves too much. We make decisions for other people about our wealth all the time.
Mm.
Most people, if you get a lead for a property and you only have $1,000 in your savings account and you have bad credit, and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I got a great deal. I'll sell it to you at a massive discount as long as you can close on it in 30 days." Most people would go, "Man, I don't have the money for a down payment, man. I can't buy it." Or, "Man, my credit score is not good enough. I'm not going to qualify a loan, man. I'm not your guy. I can't help you." That's what most people would do.
Mm.
But who told you that? Did a bank tell you? Did you apply for a loan and find out you can't?
Mm.
How do you know you need money for a down payment? You have no idea how you're going to finance it yet. Like, we make all these decisions without just going and doing the work to get the thing done and then letting somebody who can actually stop us, right? Like, if I go to 5 banks, 10 banks, and all of them say, "No, Henry, you can't buy this house."
Mm.
Okay, well, maybe I can't buy the house, right? But if I, why would I tell him no? Why would I tell somebody no before I go actually do it? Like, why would I make a decision for a bank about financing me without going to the bank and asking them, can they finance me? That's crazy. And we do it all the time.
All the time. All the time. I love that. One of the things that I remember, this is embarrassing, but it's the truth. Remember the first time I heard you speak and we wrapped after, after one-on-one was one of the things that you did and I should have done is you were going to small community banks or credit unions and
Mhm.
building a relationship with said institution
Yeah.
because and that was an unlock for you because what you found by establishing those relationships is they were, in some cases, the entire financing, right? When you
Oh,
got a
yeah.
good enough deal, and I think to your point earlier, I think that breaks the brains of new investors. Oh my
Yeah.
god, you got a bank to do 100% financing? I mean, that just blows people away. So kind of tell
Yeah.
some of those stories and, the importance of that.
I think you just want me to tell stories again, man.
I know. Sorry, I just love the way you tell stories.
Yeah. So that first deal, when I was talking about, what happened was, again, I didn't have any money. I didn't have a good credit score, and but I was telling everybody that I was an investor because that's just part of, like, I think how the world works. Like, if you
Yep.
want something, if you want the world to treat you as something,
Mhm.
act like that's something, and it will start to bring you the things that that something creates. That's why, that's why, you can play with fire, you get burned. That's what that phrase means. Like, if
Right.
you act like a thing, you get the thing. If you act like a butthole, then you get the things buttholes get, right? If you act like a criminal, you end up in jail. If you act like an investor, you get the things investors get. And so I just started telling everybody I was an investor. My buddy heard that I was buying houses. He was in a very, very difficult situation with a property. He had to sell his primary residence. He wasn't living there anymore. He had let somebody else move in who was supposed to be fixing their credit to buy the house. They had it till a certain time frame because he had to sell this house in order to go buy a property for his church. And there was time tied to that. And so he called me in a panic. He was like, "Dude, I got to sell my house. The guy that was supposed to buy it can't buy it. I'm in a pinch. I got to sell it in 30 days. And I heard you're buying houses. I'll sell it to you for a super crazy discount. I don't care what the is like. Sell it to you for 116. It's worth 165, 170. I don't care. If I sell it for 116, I have the exact amount of money I need to buy this other property. Can you buy it
Mm.
in 30 days? And I said, of course I can buy it in 30 days. I had no clue how to buy that house, but
And again, you had no money, bad
yeah,
credit.
yeah,
You just had once, 170, going to give it to you
yep,
for, let's call it 120 for round numbers.
yep,
And most people, to your point earlier, would tell that guy on the phone, I can't do it
yeah,
without even trying.
without even trying. And so I was like, yeah, man, I can buy it. And so he was like, all right, well, what do we do? And I said, hold on. So
I'll get back to you.
you're right.
1 second.
So I had to go Google how to buy a house without a real estate agent, and it said that I needed to put it under contract. And then I had
Yep.
to Google what does under contract mean, and it said I needed to sign a purchase and sale agreement or a real estate contract. And I had to
Yep.
Google where to find a real estate contract, and I downloaded a real estate contract off the internet, and I changed the names to his and mine, and I printed it out, and I took it to his desk because we worked in the same office. And I was like, here we go, we signed this contract. And he was like, all right. So he looked over it, we signed the contract, and I was now under contract for my first home. I went back to my desk and I said, okay, well, I need money because I don't have any. Right. I have $1,000 and I'm buying this for 120, which means if I have 1,000 and I'm buying it for 120, how much money do I need, guys? Somebody type it in the chat. How much money do I need?
Yeah. Let's pull up the chat. What's going on? How much money does he need?
I got 1,000. I'm buying it for 120. Let's do the tally.
0. We got Robert with 0.
No,
119 says Kevin.
I need $119,000. That's right. So
That's right.
it's the morning. I need $119,000, and I go, all right. Well, where do I get money? Banks have money. I'll go to a bank. And so
You're a genius, Henry.
yeah,
You're a
yeah.
genius. You're
There was
rock star.
some deep
Deep
thinking I
thoughts.
was doing here, right? And so I did a thorough analysis on which bank I should go to, and that thorough analysis involved me Googling banks near my office, and I went to the
You
closest
put a
one
pin
on
in
my
the
lunch
ground.
break. Yes, on my lunch break, I went to the nearest bank and I took the contract and I walked in the door and I said, I was looking for somebody to help me buy this house. And I was holding up the paper. And I just so happened to walk into a local community bank. I did not know it was a local community bank. I did not know what that meant. That's where I happened to go. And the person who happened to be standing in the lobby talking to the tellers was the commercial loan officer. I did not know to look for the commercial loan officer. That's just who happened to be standing in the bank. He looked at the contract. He walked me back to his office. He Googled the address and he said, this is a great deal. This is worth way more than this. Do you know that this is worth way more than this?
Hmm.
And I said, yes, I do. That's why I would like to buy it. And he said, well, we would love to lend on a deal like this. Here's how we structure it. And he talked me through what a commercial loan looked like. He said, we would lend you 85% of the purchase price. And we would lend you 100% of the renovation cost. It needed about 20 grand worth of work at the time. So he said, so we would lend you, what was it, 120 times 0.85. So he was going to lend me $102,000, right?
Mhm.
So who's doing the math now? I needed 119. They were going to
Right.
lend me 102. How much is left?
You're down to 17.
$17,000. And so he was like, so you're going to need to come up with a $17,000 down payment. He was like, do you have $17,000? And I was like, yes.
Nope. No, you said yes?
Yeah, of course. I was like,
Of
yeah,
course I
man.
do. Of course I
Of course
do.
I got it. Right.
Okay. All right.
And
I like it.
so um I was happy, right?
Yeah.
I was happy because just a couple of hours ago I needed $119,000 and
Now
now
you
I
need
need
17.
17, right?
Dude, big
That's
steps.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But again, most people would have said, "Oh man, I don't have 17,000. I can't buy this house," right? And the deal
Right.
would have been done. It would have been dead. But me, I'm excited, right? Now I just got to find $17,000. I got to be able to do that. I found 100
Yeah, you
in a
found
couple of hours,
102.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, dude. Come on.
So the next thing I did was prior to all this hullabaloo, I had been going to real estate meetups and I had been doing it pretty strategically. To make a really, really long story short, I went to every meetup that I could find every time they had one. My local RIA met 4 times a month. I was at every meeting. One of those meetings was for builders and developers. Do we think I cared? Nope. I was there every meeting, meeting everybody I could, sitting right in the front, networking and meeting people and talking to people and and building relationships and learning to add value to people. So I was just
Mm.
doing stuff for people, even if it didn't service me or make me any money. But I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted people to know that I would help. And so that created all these strong relationships. And so when I got this contract, I was able to go to those relationships and say, hey, how the heck are you guys buying these deals? I got this great deal. I got the financing. I need the down payment. How do I get the down payment? And one of those investors sat down with me and just brainstormed all these ways for me to get access to funds, which none of them were going to work until he came across he introduced me to the idea of using a 401k loan. He
Mm-hmm.
was like, dude, you got a job, you work at Walmart, borrow against your 401k, and then buy the house, rent the house out, and then your tenant's rent will essentially pay for the house and pay you back for your 401k.
Love it.
And the interest that you make on your 401k loan is yours. Like, so all
Mm-hmm.
that money is you pay interest, but essentially your tenant's paying the interest for you, and it goes back to you. And so you could just borrow that money and you don't pay fees or penalties because it's just a loan from yourself. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was like, that
Ah,
sounds perfect.
awesome.
I'll
Go.
do that. I just need a 401k because I don't have one of those either. And so I called my wife and I said, hey, remember I said we were going to be real estate investors? Well, I found a great deal and I found all of the money, 17,000 of which would need to come from your 401k. So we need to borrow 17,000 from your 401k so that we can invest in real estate. And she said, all right, let's do it. And within 2 weeks, we had the money. We bought the house. We raised the rents to market rents, kept the same tenant in it, and it started to pay for itself and pay us every month. And it was amazing. And then the lender from the small bank called me and said, hey, I would like for you to bring us more great deals like this. And so you should take out a line of credit on the equity. And what you can do with this line of credit is when you get another deal, bring us the contract again. We'll finance 85% of it like we did this time. And then when you need the 15% down payment, just borrow it from this line of credit
Mm,
and
I
use
like it.
this. And essentially, you'll be 100% financing these deals. Um, and you'll be bringing us a good deal. You'll be able to do a good deal. You'll be able to get 100% financing. And then once you finish that property, you can renovate it and then refinance it. And you can pull the money out, pay off the line of credit, and do it again, or you can renovate it and sell it if it's a flip and then pay off the line of credit. And so you can
Mm.
keep rinsing and repeating this money to grow your business. So essentially, this lender was teaching me what the Burr method was before there was a
Right.
fancy name for it, right? Like that method's been around for decades. It's been around for ages. It just recently got a fancy name. And so he was explaining to me how I can leverage that community bank's money to build my wealth. And they wanted me to do it because I brought them such a good deal. What I learned through that process is that local community banks don't make money like big banks. Big banks make money by servicing loans to first time home buyers and then selling off those loans, right?
Right.
They sell them to other institutions. But small banks make money by lending to small local businesses. If they don't lend
Mm-hmm.
money to small local businesses, they go out of business. They
Right.
have to do local loans. And if they've got to do loans, what's the safest loan you can do? It's not somebody operating a restaurant or a food truck. It's somebody that buys a real estate deal valued substantially less
Yeah.
than what property is worth.
If somebody
Because
buying it at 60%
right,
LTV is a good place to
what
start.
what he was banking on, what he was saying was like, yeah, I'll fund that loan. I don't care if you don't have any experience, because if you suck at this and you don't pay your debt, we'll take that property back and we'll go sell it for substantially more than what
Mm-hmm.
we would make on it, just you paying your interest. If we take that house back for 116 and we go sell it for 130, even though it's worth 170, we'll make more money doing that than we will collecting the 6% interest payments each month that you're making on the balance that you have. So it was a pretty low risk investment for them. So they were like, yeah, bring us more of these low risk loans.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how we'll finance them 100% for you.
Yeah, I love that unlock. I love that. All right, folks, we're going to go to the questions as promised. We're going to go top down. First one up, Mark. So, Henry, what trends or opportunities are you most excited about in the current 2024 real estate market? What are you seeing? What excites you?
The same thing that excites me in the 2023, 22, and 21 real estate. Really,
I
it's
actually like that answer.
this
That's
is
that's good.
boring real estate, man. I want to go buy deals at less than their market value. I want to add value to them, and I want to monetize them. That hasn't changed, right? It takes work to find deals. It takes effort to find the deals, and we'll continue to do that. But I'm not looking for some new fancy opportunity. I'm looking for the same thing. I want to go buy value add properties in good neighborhoods, add value to them, and either rent them out or sell them. Like it's just I'm boring, guys. I don't have a
You're consistent.
yeah,
That's right. I like it.
yeah.
I like it. Well, I will share with you this. My audience knows this, but you may not have heard this, Henry. I actually believe the next 6 months, maybe, yeah. So out to like January 31st of 25, it's going to be the easiest time in my 23-year career to do creative, or I'll say it this way, find motivated sellers.
Mhm.
I think we are seeing a time where demand is pulling back. We're seeing some folks who want to sell that don't need to sell, that let those listings expire. So guys that are trained to sniff out motivated sellers, don't wanters. I think the next 6 months is going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. It's going to be the easiest time. That's my prediction. What do you think?
I agree with you. I mean it's if you think about what deals again are people who are selling most likely because they need to and not want to, and so
Exactly.
the
Need versus
economic
want. Yeah.
the economic time that we're in, like it doesn't matter what's going on in the economy. There's always people that need to sell,
Right.
right? And so what you have, and typically pain creates need to sell. So if the economy's bad, it creates more pain, which creates more people in a situation where they may need to sell. So there's tons of opportunity to buy, right? And yeah, absolutely. The more desperate people get, the more open they are to creative solutions. And so absolutely, I think there's an opportunity for that. For me, it just doesn't change. Find the people that need to sell and don't want to sell, and figure out a way to get them on the phone with me. That's the plan.
Love it. Simplicity. We did get a comment from Jared saying, hey, he'd loan you 100 grand. So it looks like you got some private money opportunities out there
Send
in
me an
my
email,
community.
Jared.
Will do, Henry.
We'll make the connection. Trade better. Did you discuss earlier with your spouse about real estate? So talk about those conversations. Obviously, you went to her with the 401k loan, but talk about those early conversations when you made that commitment. You were in those first 90 days. What was that like with your wife?
Yeah, the cool part about it is the part of the story I didn't tell was what led me to searching about real estate investing was I had a panic attack and then
Oh,
about not making enough money. And through that panic attack, that's when I started to search and learn about real estate. And so I woke up the morning after I had the panic attack and after I decided we were going to buy real estate and told my wife that I wanted to invest in real estate. And she was like, that sounds cool. I would love to learn about doing that with you. And so we ended up I ended up telling a friend of mine that I worked with who I knew was a commercial real estate broker that we wanted to invest in real estate. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm asking you for. I'm just telling you I want to do this. So hopefully maybe you point me in a direction that leads me down that path. And she was like, the excitement on her face when I told her that's what I wanted to do. She like went home that night, brought back the next day a box of books. And she was like, if you read one of these books and tell me about it, I'll help you. And so, like, I
mm,
just started digging through the box of books, looking for some semblance of a title that I might have heard before. And I
mm,
thought I'd heard the title Rich Dad Poor Dad before. And I didn't know, I had no clue about this book, guys. Like, it was not strategic of me to go buy it because it was like, I was like, I think I've heard this name before,
yeah,
Rich Dad Poor Dad. And so I grabbed that book. And of course, my head exploded when I read it.
right.
And, but what I did was I took it to my wife and I was like, here, you read this because I don't like reading print books. And I downloaded the audiobook. And so she read the book. I downloaded and listened to the audiobook. So we read it at the same time. So we had a lot of the
Oh,
same
nice.
epiphanies and learnings at the same time. And so we were talking about it. And so we both kind of built excitement about it at the
Mm,
same time. And so it was an easy transition in order for us to talk about investing in real estate because we were both kind of learning the same lessons. Like I didn't have to go like secondhand tell her about
mhm.
the excitement I was learning from this book. Like she was getting it too. And then so we did the same thing with I think Richest Man in Babylon, which is the next book we read, and
Yeah.
then we started saving our income because both the Richest Man in Babylon and Rich Dad Poor Dad preach pay yourself first, figure
Yep.
out what to do with the rest, and so we started saving 10%. So we kind of went on this journey together, which helped us uh, kind of kind of be on the same page.
Yeah. How important it is to not only start on the same page, but to continue to talk and share. with your significant other.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, look, I don't know. Some people do money differently, but we merge everything. And so it's our money, right? And so, um, us learning together about how we're going to plan our financial future was hugely important. And it created like this bond and this trust and this level of transparency, which kind of transcends the financial aspect of your relationship. And when you think, I mean, most people get divorced over money issues,
Mhm.
right? And so us being open and transparent about that really helped kind of build a stronger relationship bond.
Yeah. Very cool. We're going to do the next question from Roberto. As a newbie, you might find many financing strategies overwhelming. Understanding all of it works can be a challenge. Are there any rules of thumb for approaching financing a deal? For example, if there's no equity, try this. If there is equity, try that. Any rules of thumb, Henry?
I mean, yeah, there's rules of thumb, but I wouldn't even really call them rules of thumb, just things you'll start to learn. So first of all, I'm not buying deals with no equity. Like I buy value. Like that's what I do.
Right.
I need to walk into value on day one. So that's why I don't do sub two deals because a
Mhm.
lot of the time sub two deals, you're not buying value, you're buying an interest rate, right? So you're walking into a lower payment. Still have to go
Correct.
figure out how to monetize that property. But at the end of the day, I want to walk into value. That's my protection. If something changes in the market, I can offload that property some other way. So if there's no equity, I'm probably not buying the deal. But secondly, if it is, but yeah, I have some rules of thumb, right? So if I'm talking with a seller who needs to close quickly, and I'm talking like less than 2 weeks, for me, that's going to be like a private money lender type institution situation, somebody who I know is not going to do an appraisal, who's just going to take my word for what that property is worth based on trust, who's going to be able to get me the money that I need super quick. Typically that's going to come at a higher interest rate because it's higher risk. So
Mhm.
I can get the money faster, I can close on the deal faster, I can service that seller, but I'm going to be paying a premium on the interest. If I don't need to close quick and I'm going to keep it as a rental, for me, I'm probably going to look at doing either some sort of commercial loan with a small bank where it's going to be on like a 25-year AM,
Mm.
with a 5% with a 3 to 5 year arm. I like that option right now because I personally think rates are going to come down at some point. Even if they go up again, they'll come down at some point in the next 5 years. And
Mm.
so I struggle to put things on 30-year fixed rate mortgages right now that are going to have a prepayment penalty. Because if rates drop in the next 1 to 2 years, I don't want to have to pay to go refinance my property. So I like
Right.
putting them on 3 to 5 year adjustable rates, and then that way I can refinance. If the rates come down tomorrow, I could refinance right out of that loan I closed yesterday with no prepayment
Right.
penalty. Um,
So these
uh,
are, again, just for the audience who may not picked up on it. These are technically commercial loans, not
yeah,
residential loans.
correct.
Correct. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, so
All
there's a
right.
couple.
Yeah, there you go. I love all those. So this is from Kenny. With current interest rates and economy the way it is, how are you funding deals and what strategy have you pivoted to, if any?
Yeah, I think I just talked about it. Like that's the same thing. I'm looking at
Okay.
commercial loans and then bridging the gap with some sort of, you know, short-term lending. Maybe it's a line of credit, maybe it's something else. Maybe I use my own cash, but maybe I'll
Right.
do owner. I like owner financing, but I don't just see owner financing as you owner finance the whole property. You can also owner finance your down payment. So
Yep. The second.
sometimes
Yeah.
I'll buy a
Yeah.
great deal and then have the owner carry back the down payment so that I don't have to put cash in it.
Yep. I love all of that. That's actually what people don't understand is seller financing doesn't always have to just be a first. It can be a second. I think it was the third property we bought ever. So this would have been like 2004. I didn't have an extra 10%, so I had the seller take back a second way back when. This is 2000, probably four. So
Mhm.
love all of that. A lot of folks go out of state. Actually, Henry, I don't know if you're out of state investing. I know you've done a lot locally, but maybe you're doing some out of state now. How do you find local community banks if you're an out of state investor?
How do you find local community banks where yeah, I mean, um, ibanknet.com, I believe. Try that. If that's not right, I'll get the right link. Yeah, that's it. ibanknet.com. That's a really quick and easy website where you can go on the right side of the page. There's a bank map, click on your state, and then you can literally filter all of the banks in your state on a list and filter them by deposits.
Ooh, I
So
love that.
the less deposits they have, the smaller community bank it is.
ibanknet.com.
Yep.
Dude, what a gift. I didn't even know about that one. That's new to me. I like it.
Welcome.
Yeah. See, Henry, this is why you're amazing.
Hmm.
This is from Jen. How are you finding your motivated sellers? Any advice for people who have busy W-2s? How are you doing it? Mailing, texting? What are you doing?
Most of my leads come from mail, PPC, and radio.
Oh, radio. Let's tell me about that. What's going on with radio?
Yeah, I do. I have an ad that runs on one of the local radio stations. I run it, I believe, on the classic country station. So radio stations, first of all, they're like TV. How does TV stations and radio stations make money? They make money on ads, right? Not
Right.
on the shows. The shows draw people to
Right.
their network, and they said they make money by selling ads to the people. So if you so your local radio stations all have an advertising person at their company, because that's how they make their money. So you can reach out to this advertising person, and this advertising person has all kinds of demographic information. So if you know who your target customer is, for me, I wanted people over the age of 50. And I wanted, I was looking for white conservative males, right? Like if
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I'm in Arkansas. They're, typically the property owners or heirs to trusts and things. And so I was looking for where's your largest demographic of that listener, and they told me that stations. I picked the one with the largest demographic, and I recorded a radio ad in my own voice, and it airs multiple times a day. I get
you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. What does a radio ad cost? Because I wouldn't even know how to price that. Are we talking thousands of bucks a month?
Yeah, that will absolutely vary based on your market. I live in Northwest Arkansas, not a massive market. Doesn't cost me that much. It's less than $1,000 a month for me to run my radio ads. It's almost about half that for me to run my radio ads.
So 500 bucks a month, multiple times a day.
Yep. Yep.
I like it. Little 30-second spot, something like that.
If you're in yeah. And if you're in a bigger market, that could be 2-3 times that, right? It just really depends. And it also, there's in radio and TV advertising, there's a competition, right? So like if there's already somebody else that's an investor on that same station doing it, then they won't let you do it. So it's cool if you snag it, because then they won't let a competitor come and advertise the same on that station, maybe another station, but not that station.
Very, very cool. We also said PPC, again, very kind of geography specific, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pay per click. Yeah, I mean it's so I've always gone back and forth between where my deals come from. Most of them either come from mail or from pay per click, and it's kind of just been a seesaw thing. When mail's working, sometimes pay per click isn't. When pay per click's working, sometimes mail is a little slower. So, but those seem to be the old tried and true, and so we just consistently do them. We just don't ever stop.
Yeah, I love it. Again, one of my investors, Jason Pritchard, who I think, he's been doing his things for 5 or 6 years. He's got to be consistent. You got ebbs and flows. You just don't stop. Consistency wins the day. He's gotten deals from letters or postcards 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to be consistent. Henry, it looks like you put in your email address, but I think you mistyped it. It is TON, not ONT or OTN.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, so Washington is spelled ends with TON, which has been corrected. So it looks like Jared did send you an email. So look at that. We've got you connected with a private money lender. Thank you for showing up today. We are good people here. John, yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad's giving it away. Yeah, I've given away probably 50 copies of that book.
Yeah, man.
It's shocking. Dude, I have an MBA. I was an accountant, and that book was so many light bulb moments. It's embarrassing for me to talk about. It's just,
dude, yeah,
shocking.
It's nuts, man. That's that is the way it goes. I want to can I drop the link for my book? Is that cool?
Of course, man. This is for you. It's supposed to be good for you too. Go for it.
I would ask that anybody, so you can get it here. Control C, grab it from this shop if you don't mind.
You're putting it in comments, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the comments. I'm gonna drop as soon as I figure out how to use technology. And we'll do it. There's an
There you go.
Amazon. That's my Amazon shop. You can grab it. It's like the first book on the Amazon shop
Nice.
there. You can grab it. I would appreciate that.
Yeah. As a
And
published author in Amazon, do me a favor, folks. Also write a review. Write a review. It
Oh my
means a lot. And
goodness.
if you want to do something extra special and get some points for me, when you get the book, take a selfie and then tag him on Instagram. I think it's the Henry Washington.
That's correct.
Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. So got to show some love to authors. It's not easy writing a book. That
It
much
is
I can tell you.
hard. One of the hardest things I've ever done professionally.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Got a couple more questions here. Again, folks, we probably have time for two more after this, so don't be shy. This is from Trade Better. What has been the best way to build relationships with banks? Man, nobody really talks about that. How do you build relationships with banks?
Oh, all right, guys. Get your pens and papers out. I'm about to give you some good stuff. All right. If you want to build relationships with small local community banks, you need to be in the community, because community banks are actively involved in their community. So
Yep.
one great way to get instant connection to local community banks, instant trust, even though they don't know anything about you, is to join your local chamber of commerce, Rotary Club, or any other local organization like that where professionals within the community are members. So Chamber of Commerce and Rotary Clubs, these are typically inexpensive to join. Chamber of Commerce is sometimes are very inexpensive. Shriners Clubs, those kinds of things. Like any of those local community organizations that have local chapters, go join those and go to their meetings and get involved. Do something, volunteer at an event somebody's having. Like just you being a member gives you access to the Rolodex of other members. And
Yep.
you'll be able to then just email these people and say, hey, I am also a member of such and such city Rotary or such and such city chamber of commerce. Let's go to lunch. They'll go to lunch with you and learn about your business. And it's like a warm introduction,
Yep.
right? Instead of you reaching out cold and saying, hi, I'm a local real estate investor and I've done a couple of deals. Would you like to go to lunch? That cold introduction could mean absolutely nothing if they're busy. But if you email or meet them at the chamber and say, hey, oh yeah, I see you're with so-and-so bank. I do some real estate deals. Let's go to lunch. They'll be like, yeah, man, let's do it. Right. Like you get that instant connection. It's like a warm introduction. Super easy to do. Everybody can go do that. Building relationships with lenders. So I think that's one of the best ways to do it. Also prepare yourself. So if you create what I call kind of like a kind of have like I draw a blank on what the term is, but have some sort of PowerPoint presentation that talks to your experience. Literally, just create experience portfolio. That's what we call it. Just create a PowerPoint or a deck in Canva, one slide per deal. Picture of the house, what you bought it for, what you renovated it for, what you sold it for, or what you rented it for, how much your investor made on that deal, right? Like, what you paid your interest rate or your investor, right? Like just a quick synopsis so that you can have, and then, you can either print it, put it in a Google Drive so that you can quickly just share it with them, or print it out a copy if you're old school like me and take it and put it in front of them so they can touch it and feel it, but have access to it. And then, so that way, when you're going to these meetings and things, you can just be like, hey, this is Henry, this is what I do, right? Boom.
Love it.
Any deals you've done, create that track.
Yep.
But that's an easy way, man. These local banks, they want to work with you.
No,
but
they do. Absolutely.
leveraging the local communities will be a great way to get a foot in the door.
All right, there. Roberto's asking for more stories. They want to know how you became a Bigger Pockets host.
Yeah, I mean, here's how I can tie it all together for you. So I didn't I didn't approach Bigger Pockets and say, can I be a host? That's not what happened, right? It's all part of like how I network, right? So again, I network in a strategic way. I look for ways to add value to as many people as possible. and I stay in their lives. If they're good people, I want to be around them. And so the way I stay around good people is by trying to continually add value to good people. So what happened was I went to the first Bigger Pockets conference, like the first official one they had in Nashville, and I messed up. Like I screwed up with my dates, and I actually ended up getting there a day early. And so I was just like wandering around the hotel because I was like, well, that was my bad. So
Whoops.
yeah. And I happened to bump into Brandon Turner getting coffee in the morning. He was there early as well. And so I was like, well, I'm going to go talk to Brandon Turner. And so I went and I chatted him up, and he asked me about what I did. And I kind of told him my story. And at that point, I had been maybe in the business 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years, and I had about 40 some odd rentals, which I didn't know was fast. Like I didn't think I was doing anything anybody else wasn't doing. Like I had no frame of reference. And
Right.
he was like, dude, that's crazy. And I was like, is it? Like, I don't
Really?
know. Right. And I was like, and they had just started the real estate rookie show. Like it had just kicked off. And I was like, well, I heard you're doing a rookie show. I'd love to come, if you need guests for the rookie show. And he was like, no, dude, you're going to come on our show. And I was like,
Mm,
yeah, okay, whatever. Right. I didn't believe him.
mm,
And so, he connected me with the producer of the show. I didn't even know he was a producer when he connected me with him. I think he just introduced him to me, and
mm,
he was just a cool guy. So I just stayed in contact with him, and then I met Jay. I met Jay at that conference as well, and Jay mentioned something about he was looking at apartment buildings in Northwest Arkansas, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I just kind of took all that information and just found ways to help them. So I would stay
mm,
in contact with the producer, and I would connect him with resources here. I connected Jay with my agent here to help send him apartment listings, and just doing any due diligence. Like anything I could do to be of service, I was doing. I wasn't asking for anything in return. I was just trying to help and be of service, right? Because if you help people, they remember you, right?
yep.
Especially people who get approached by people all the time. If you're a successful investor and you're getting approached by people all the time, everybody wants something from you. Very few people are giving something to you. But what everybody does is they go, well, how can I help you? I don't know. I don't know
Mm,
you. I don't know how you can help me. You just gave me another thing to do, which is to figure out how this person I don't know can help me. But if you just use your eyes and your ears and you listen, you'll learn ways to add value. And sometimes, so I would just like, I wasn't really doing anything but connecting dots for people. And
mm,
so fast forward when Brandon decided to retire from the Bigger Pockets podcast, it was kind of sudden for them, and they needed to kind of fill the gap until they figured out what was going on. And so the producer called me and he was like, hey, do you mind filling in on a few episodes until we figure out what's going on? And I was like, sure. So I
mm.
did that. I didn't ask for anything. I just did it. And then they asked me to do a few more, and I just did it. And then one day he sends me a meeting request. He wants me to meet with Scott Trench. And I was like, sure, I'll
Mm.
talk to Scott Trench. And then I'm talking to Scott Trench, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, sounds kind of like a job interview. What's
What is
happening
going
right
on?
now? Why do I feel like I'm being interviewed right now? And then all of a sudden I had a contract. So it just kind of worked. The end of the story is add value to people. Can I tell a quick story about how I did that recently? Because
Yeah, please go for it. This is all for you.
so like, you don't have to know, like people think, well, I'm new. How do I add value to somebody experienced? It doesn't have to be in real estate. Like just like set a goal for yourself at networking events, and that goal should be, I will find at least one person that I can help with something, and turn your brain on to helping you listen for what those opportunities are. And I promise you, when you go, you'll hear somebody say something. Maybe they need help with the website, maybe they need help with childcare, and you're like, oh, my daughter babysits. Hey, why don't I have my daughter babysit for you, and then you can do whatever, like whatever it is. Just listen, and you'll find, and that opportunity doesn't have to be you actually doing the help. Maybe you can hear somebody say, I need, I'm struggling with my website, and a guy that does websites. And then just go ask him for their email and connect you and him and that person, and say, hey, I just connected you with so and so. He does websites. I heard you say you needed help with that. Might turn into something, might not, but I thought I'd help you out there. Right. Then if they don't even do business, it doesn't matter. That person's going to remember that you reached out and helped them. Right. So I recently went to a conference where I was a speaker. And I heard another speaker, and this guy's method was amazing, and his delivery was amazing. And I was like, I got to know more about this guy. I got to know what he's doing. I want to learn what he's doing. And so when he finished speaking, he gets bombarded, of course, by everybody. And so I just walk up to him and I shake his hand and I say, what you just did was amazing. You're going to help a lot of people. I'm Henry. That's just fantastic. Nice to meet you. And I walked away, right? Because I didn't know how to add value to him yet, but I wanted to introduce myself. Later on that day, at one of the events that only the speakers were at, I overheard him have a conversation saying he was going back to Dallas, where he's from. And I was leaving to go to Dallas after that event to speak at another very small, intimate mastermind of seasoned investors. And so I was like, perfect. I went up to him and I said, hey, bud, heard you say you live in Dallas. I'm headed to Dallas after this, speaking with some seasoned investors in the Dallas market. I would love for you to be able to be in that room so that you can meet these other seasoned investors in your same market and build relationships with them. Is that something you'd be interested in? And he was like, dude, yeah, I'd love to do that. I said, great. I'm going to pay for your ticket so that you can attend this event. And so I bought his ticket. And he showed up and I introduced him to all my investor friends in that network, in that market, right? And now he's got these relationships he's working with. I haven't asked this guy for a thing, but you think if I do, he's going to help me?
I think so.
That is how you network.
There you go. Well, we got a question I had to ask. I thought it was so funny. This came from Jen. Do your kids know how famous you are?
They don't give a crap, and no, they don't, and they don't care. I was speaking on a stage in DC. I mean, it was at a theater, and they were in the back of the theater, like, because I want them to see me do stuff like that. And it wasn't a super packed theater, and theaters can be very echoey.
Yeah.
And you could hear my daughter, and she goes, "Why is Dad talking to these people, and why are they listening?" She does not care. No.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Henry, I know how busy you are. I want to be respectful of your time. In our last minute together, remind folks where they can find you, where they should get the book, link above, take selfies, write reviews. It's all very helpful. What should they do?
Best place to find me is on Instagram. I'm at the Henry Washington on Instagram. Send me a message there. If you want to grab the book, that Amazon link is here in the chat. Please grab a book and leave a review. It would mean the world to me.
Come on, folks, leave a review.
If you want to grab more than one book, like if you're going to use it, like if you're an agent and you're going to give them away as like closing gifts to people, then send me an email and I'll give you a discount code, because the more you buy, the more discount you can get, and you can get them direct from Bigger Pockets at a discount. But you can email me, henry@henrywashington.com. Yeah, send me a note. Love to help you out. Mentor people. We do all the cool stuff, man.
Man, Henry, you're amazing. Thanks for being just the honest person you are. Thanks for not being sleazy. You care about the person on the other side of the closing table. You've always been a go-giver. Just keep it up, man. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
You got it. Later, guys. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care, guys.